It starts with a glance. Not the kind you'd normally notice, not the kind that screams for attention, but the kind that lingers just a little longer than expected. The kind that fans rewind, slow down, and analyze frame by frame. And somehow, every time, it leads back to the same quiet conclusion. Jungkook always seems to find his way back to Jimin. At first, people brushed it off. After all, they are part of the same group, constantly working, living, and traveling together. Of course, they'd be close. Of course, they'd share moments. But what happens when those moments begin to stack up in ways that feel different? What happens when fans start noticing patterns that don't quite fit into the usual explanation of just teammates? There's something undeniably magnetic about the dynamic between them. It's not loud or forced. It doesn't rely on grand gestures or overly scripted interactions. Instead, it's subtle, almost instinctive. Jungkook doesn't just stand next to Jimin. He drifts toward him. He doesn't just talk to him. He listens in a way that feels unusually focused. And perhaps most telling of all, he doesn't seem entirely comfortable when they're apart. Why is that? That's the question that has been echoing across fan communities, comment sections, and late-night discussions. And the more you look into it, the harder it becomes to ignore. Think about the countless behind-the-scenes clips, live streams, and interviews over the years. In group settings, Jungkook often has the option to interact with anyone. Yet time and time again, his attention circles back to Jimin. It's in the way he turns his head instinctively when Jimin speaks, even if others are talking. It's in the way his expression softens, almost unconsciously. It's in the small, fleeting smiles that don't seem meant for the camera. Are these just coincidences? Or is there something deeper at play? One moment that fans often bring up is how Jungkook reacts when Jimin isn't around. There's a noticeable shift. He becomes quieter, slightly more reserved. It's subtle, but it's there. And when Jimin returns, it's like a switch flips. The energy changes. Jungkook seems lighter, more engaged, more himself. That contrast raises an interesting point. Is it possible that Jimin provides a sense of comfort or grounding for Jungkook? In an environment as intense and demanding as theirs, having someone who feels familiar, safe, and emotionally reliable can make all the difference. But then, if that's the case, why Jimin specifically? Let's go back to the early days. They didn't start as the closest pair in the group. In fact, their relationship had its own journey, moments of tension, growth, and understanding. Over time, something shifted. They began to connect in ways that went beyond surface-level interactions. There was a mutual respect that grew into something more nuanced. And maybe that's where the real story begins. Relationships that evolve over time tend to carry a different kind of weight. They're built on shared experiences, challenges overcome together, and a deeper understanding of each other's personalities. Jungkook and Jimin didn't just become close overnight. They built that connection piece by piece. So when Jungkook seems unable to stay away from Jimin now, it might not be about dependency in the way some people assume. It might be about familiarity, about trust, about knowing that no matter how chaotic things get, there's one person who understands without needing an explanation. But even that doesn't fully explain the intensity of what fans are seeing, because it's not just about comfort. There's something undeniably emotional in the way Jungkook looks at Jimin sometimes. Something that feels unfiltered, almost unguarded. And in an industry where image is everything, those unguarded moments stand out more than anything else. Why does he let his guard down around Jimin more than others? Is it because he feels safe? Or is it because he doesn't even realize he's doing it? There's also the playful side of their relationship. The teasing, the laughter, the way they seem to slip into their own little world even when surrounded by others. It's easy to dismiss it as just fun, but even that carries meaning. People don't naturally gravitate toward the same person over and over again without a reason. And Jungkook, he keeps choosing Jimin, again and again. It's in the small things. Standing closer than necessary, reaching out without thinking, glancing over as if to check if Jimin is okay. These are not actions that can be easily scripted or forced. They happen in the in-between moments, the ones that reveal more than any planned performance ever could. So, what's the real reason? Some fans believe it's simply a deep friendship, the kind that becomes so strong it borders on inseparable. Others think there's an emotional reliance that goes beyond typical bonds. And then there are those who see something even more profound, something that doesn't need to be labeled to be understood. But here's the thing, maybe the answer isn't meant to be definitive. Maybe what makes their dynamic so captivating is precisely the fact that it can't be easily explained. It exists in a space where interpretation is open, where every viewer sees something slightly different, yet equally compelling. And Jungkook's behavior only adds to the mystery. Because if this were just a casual friendship, would it really look like this? Would it carry the same intensity, the same consistency over time? Would it spark this level of curiosity from people who have watched countless interactions across years? Or is there something about Jimin that naturally draws Jungkook in? Let's consider Jimin's personality. He's known for being warm, emotionally expressive, and incredibly attentive to the people around him. He notices things others might miss. He reacts with empathy. He connects on a level that feels genuine rather than performative. Could it be that Jungkook, despite his confidence and talent, finds something reassuring in that? In a world where expectations are constantly high, having someone who sees you beyond your public image can be incredibly grounding. Someone who doesn't just admire you, but understands you. Someone who knows when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, when you need support, even if you don't say it out loud. And maybe, just maybe, Jimin is that person for Jungkook. But then again, that leads to another question. If their bond is rooted in such deep understanding, why does it still feel so intriguing to watch? Why does it keep people coming back, analyzing, discussing, wondering? Perhaps it's because it feels real. In an industry filled with carefully curated moments, their interactions often feel unscripted, imperfect even. And that imperfection is what makes it relatable. It reminds people of their own connections, their own friendships, their own unspoken bonds. And Jungkook's apparent inability to stay away from Jimin becomes more than just a curiosity. It becomes something people can emotionally connect to. Because who hasn't had that one person, that one presence that feels like home, no matter where you are? That one connection that doesn't need constant explanation. That one bond that, for reasons you can't fully articulate, just matters more. As the years go on, the dynamic between Jungkook and Jimin continues to evolve. It doesn't stay static. It grows, shifts, adapts. And yet, the core of it remains the same. Jungkook still gravitates toward Jimin, still looks for him, still reacts in ways that spark the same question over and over again. Why? And maybe the most honest answer is this: because he wants to, not because he has to, not because it's expected, but because on some level, being near Jimin simply feels right to him. And that's something no amount of analysis can fully break down. It's felt, not explained. So the next time you notice one of those moments, a glance, a smile, a quiet interaction that seems to say more than words ever could, ask yourself this: are we really just watching two people interact? Or are we witnessing something deeper, something that resonates because it reflects a universal truth about human connection? Something that reminds us that no matter how complicated life gets, we all seek that one person who makes everything feel a little more steady. And if that's what's happening here, then maybe the reason Jungkook can't stay away from Jimin isn't shocking at all. Maybe it's the most natural thing in the world. If you've made it this far, I'm curious. What do you think? Are these moments just simple friendship? Or is there something more layered beneath the surface? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's talk about it. And if you enjoy deep dives like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that explore the moments everyone else can't stop thinking about.